Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Soul Rising podcast. I'm your host, Amanda McCoy Flanagan. Thank you so much for joining us. We are all in on love, loss, and connection here. I have another amazing guest for you today. I'm so excited. Julie reached out to me a few months ago, and I was like, yes, I want to hear your story, the book that she wrote. And it's just such an important conversation for women in 30s, 40s, 50s. My show's a lot about authenticity and self-worth and showing up as your true self. And sometimes we get stuck in these roles. We fall into maybe a career or something. We just get stuck in it. And Julie kind of broke out of that world and is now writing books and speaking and doing all these amazing things about really finding your true heart and really what your purpose and what you want to do in life. So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about Julie, and then we're going to jump into an awesome conversation. So here we go. Julie LaPlaca is a seasoned television producer with over 2 decades of experience working in the entertainment industry. Most notably, she spent years crafting some of reality TV's most iconic love stories as a supervising producer on the Bachelor franchise. Julie's an author, a certified life coach, hypnotherapist, and founder of The Love Producer, a personal development brand devoted to helping others produce the love they desire in their lives. Now she's flipping the script, guiding others and herself on the greatest journey of all, that of finding the love within, in her book launching in July, The Love Producer, My Unscripted Journey from a Reality TV Career to My Own Happily Ever After. It's a behind-the-scenes look at her time on the show, including the iconic 2020 season that made headlines. So I'm going to tell you in all honesty, I've never even seen one episode of The Bachelor. So, but I know people love it. It's huge. So Julie, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, and it's probably better you haven't gotten sucked in because it's a lot of hours of television. It's like 2 hours a week when it's airing. So, but yes, I am very grateful for my years at the show. It taught me a lot about myself. It helped me grow a lot, and so I'm grateful for that.
Yeah,
Yes.
right. All of our experiences, I feel like, are always leading us to the next thing. Like I was telling Julie before we started, I worked in Manhattan after college for a while, and I would not change those years at all, even though it wasn't my ultimate path that I chose. But it taught me so much, just so much about marketing, really, which is helping me now, right? So whatever we learned then, we can sort of apply in different ways now. So Julie, tell us. So you have your book, The Love Producer. I love that. That's super cool. Tell us what happened. Like, just tell us your story. How did you go from there to here?
Yeah. So I was a millennial girl, super motivated and driven to succeed in Hollywood. Got a taste of production my early years in college in New York City, and then really went down that route. And then, really manifested my job at The Bachelor. I was working in talk shows, and then I'm like, I want to work on that show where I get paid to travel the world. And so I got that job. And like I said, I had so many amazing experiences. First, I was on the date team, so I was like scouting locations and all that. And then I switched over to being with the lead. And so as the lead producer, you're with whoever the bachelor or bachelorette is, like 24/7. And you're spending your days doing interviews with them, right? When they're talking to the camera, they were talking to me. And we're digging into their heart, asking them their desires in life, getting them to be vulnerable and share their truth and what they want out of a partner and out of love. And, even confronting some of their traumas and like how that shaped them and how that blocks them from love now, whatever it might be. So like in many ways, I almost became a therapist, but, with no boundaries. And eventually it had me reflecting on my own life. Not eventually, like during that time and at the show, a 5-year relationship ended, the one I thought was the one. And then I just dove more into my career, and it was really hard to date because I was always away. And I was also closed off to it, I realized. And then eventually my bosses were talking about my 2-year plan to run the show. And at the time I was just about to be 36. And then, as a woman, you hear 2-year plan 38. I'm like, if I ever, you have this idea that once you hit 40, you're over the hill. I'm like, if I ever want to find love and get married and have a family, I need to get out of here. That was a bit of like the A story of what caused me to then leave the show. And then on a deeper soul level, I think I was starting to feel this itch for something more aligned with what, I I need to follow that inner calling. I wasn't sure what that was, but I knew I needed to follow that. I think so many people, we get caught up in our day to day, right? We live life almost on like in a hypnotic state, living on repeat, doing the same thing and then retiring and whatever. And it's hard to break that cycle, especially when you're in like a successful career. Everyone's like, oh my God, you have the dream job, and that's how it looks externally. But, internally, I was starting to feel it wasn't aligned anymore.
Yeah, dream job. What does it take in a person, I guess, or in you? What came up in you? Like, you're like, oh my gosh, I have this dream job. I'm all in on this thing. And then you have this like moment of clarity, I guess, almost, or this like awakening where you're like, you use the word reckoning. What does that reckoning look like when that like inside and outside aren't matching? Use the word aligned as well. What does that feel like?
A lot of crying.
Crying.
It was it was like it was an interesting sort of slow build up. First, as you'll read in my book, there was a bit of entanglement with me and the Bachelor I was producing, which I get into more of the specifics, but I got a bit caught up in the fairy tale itself. We were in the tabloids as like possibly being together, and then my fairy tale youth was like, saw the Cinderella story and kind of hoped for it, right? And then when that didn't happen, then it was around, this was COVID, then COVID hit. And that's when I was forced to slow down. We were forced to not work for a while. And it was actually like the biggest blessing for me. That's when I read Becoming Supernatural by Joe Dispenza. That was sort of like my first intro. I mean, I was always like, I did yoga and did savasana at the end, but I was like, always had a really hard time quieting my mind. And I read Becoming Supernatural by Joe Dispenza, and I was like determined to have like an out of body experience, and my mind just kept getting in the way. But every night I would like listen to his guided meditation, and then probably after a month I had like a transcendental experience where it was very out of body, and I saw like my future self, my past self. It was wild.
Cool.
And then came back into my body. And then like a month later, I had to go back to filming. We filmed in a bubble, and then I was in the chaos of producing a TV show. And yes, I touch on the beautiful things about diving into their hearts and love and all that, but there's also the chaos of creating a TV show and the drama and being around all of that. And it was hard to go back to it after like, slowing down and having a healthy lifestyle. And, because also when you're in TV, you don't sleep at all. Like as a producer, I never slept. We work 7 days a week. 20-hour days. I talk about the physical. I mean, I'm very fortunate that I got out before it got worse, but it's like my eye would twitch for weeks at a time, or hair was falling out, just these waking up in bed, sweats, like pools of sweat, just those are like little ways for me compared to, I know some people who have like literally gotten so sick they were forced to leave, right? Your body talks to you, that's what
100%.
Yeah. And so yeah, I was back in that chaos. And then when we were filming the next season in another COVID bubble, and, I lost two grandparents within like 3 weeks. And so then I ended up going home and spent like that next month with my family and just had a lot of reflecting. I really just knew in my heart that it wasn't aligned with me anymore.
Yeah, when you talked about going from having the time alone in COVID and then going back into reality TV, would you say it's really reality? Or was what maybe you felt after the loss of your grandparents? So I just write little notes and words, and I wrote grief, awakening, reality. And I think that when we go through that loss, we kind of come to this like, what's really real? And did you feel like maybe you said bubble a couple times? Did you feel like maybe that life just felt really like superficial or inauthentic, or like how would you explain that for people?
I will say I'm actually like a big fan of the show in terms of
sure, it's great. I'm not putting it down. I'm sure and reality TV awesome. It's just I don't watch TV at all.
I mean, I think The Bachelor, actually there's the drama right now with Taylor Frankie Paul, who was supposed to be the Bachelorette. I don't know if you followed that. And she's in a very toxic situation with her ex, and the season got canceled. And
Okay.
it was the first time someone from another show came on our show. She was on The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. But long story short, she actually said like going on The Bachelorette was like its own healing journey for her.
Oh.
And it was like an escape from her toxic life of the other show, And actually, I think there is something really powerful about being in that bubble when you're just reflecting on life and love and all that stuff. A lot of people who would come on the show had never never done therapy or anything like that. It's probably the deepest they've ever gone, a lot of them, in reflecting on this kind of stuff.
And so that's great, whatever gets you there, and it looks different for everybody.
Totally. Listen, but yes, of course, then there's the side of like, it's a TV show and the main purpose is ratings and you need to have drama and all that. So there are those elements too. But it also just had me reflecting on like, God, what do I want out of life? And what does love look like to me? And why haven't I found it yet? And I could blame the show to a certain degree that I was literally living out of a suitcase half the year. But what else, right? What did I really want? I went through a phase where I wasn't sure if I even want kids after my last breakup. And there's a lot of like guarding my heart from that hurt. And so really wanted to do that like inner work on myself because I had never really taken the time to like really reflect at all because I'm always just kind of like the happy sunshine girl. And like I never really had gone within for myself.
Well, you could blame the show and the suitcase and all that, but ultimately we're the ones who make the decisions for our lives, right?
Yeah.
So tell us about how does somebody balance that career ambition? Like, because it's important, right? People, they feel very fulfilled in different careers, right? It's all part of, I always say with my kids, it was like a pie chart. So I was like, Mom, where do you have to go? Where do you have to go? I'm like, you're the biggest part, in my life. And then I have this, I have work, I have friends, I have, I'm sober, I go to meetings, like I have exercise, all the things. How do people, because I know people like friends of mine who are in power driven jobs that like, it's hard. It's hard. Like, how do you have enough time for all the other stuff?
It is hard. And to each their own, right? I had an amazing boss who, used to bring her kids on the road and that was awesome. Although then they changed the rules and wouldn't let her bring her kids on the road, which was crazy. I saw the other executives that were like in their 40s and single. My sister was a producer. She sort of like was the launch pad too for me because she was a producer until she got married and had kids. And then she tried to go back to and just realized, there's certain jobs that literally take you away for long hours of time, right? We're always working really, really late until sunrise, really, right? And so, so I don't want to say you can't balance it as a producer. Some people do it, God bless them. But for me, I couldn't see that being a lifestyle where I could ever bring a family into this world, quite honestly. For that specific type of show. That show is a very unique show. You're on the road for 2 months. You're filming every day and you barely sleep. So to me, I was like, I don't think I could, they're talking about my plan to run the show. And I'm like, is that even a goal I want? And my heart said no. I also think for me, it was like, okay, I'm a creative being. I have all these ideas brewing in me. I've never taken the time to just stop and like try to do any of them. And I felt the call to just do something for myself. Yeah. But my sister, so when she went back to production and then it didn't work, she started studying hypnotherapy. She had gone to hypnotherapy when she had really bad TMJ.
Okay.
She always clenched her jaw. My sister's really not, much of a woo-woo person, if you will. And she tried everything and it didn't work. And then someone's like, you should try hypnotherapy. And she was skeptical and she went. And after 3 sessions, her TMJ was gone. So
was it rapid resolution therapy? Rapid resolution hypnotherapy?
No, it was with Carrie Gaynor. He's like the hypnotherapist to the stars here in LA.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know what she does, but my husband and we actually also did. It's called rapid resolution, and it's 3 sessions, which is why I was
Oh,
wondering if
no.
that's the modality.
Oh, no, it wasn't not that specific
Okay.
technique. So anyway, so when she did that, then when I went through a breakup while I was working at the show, when my 5-year relationship ended, I moved in with her for like a month because I was homeless and then traveling. And then I was like crying as I was driving to work every day, sad about my breakup and the person I thought was going to be the one. And she was starting to go to school for hypnotherapy. And she's like, Julie, can I practice on you? And I'm like, you can't hypnotize me. I can't quiet my mind. And she's like, everyone's hypnotizable. And she kind of explained those common misconceptions. I'm like, all right, help me to get over my ex and stop crying. And literally after 2 sessions, I was like, I was transformed. I was like, whoa, okay, this is really powerful. And I had this new sense of, and we always joke, maybe she hypnotized me too well because I actually like loved being single after that, right? But then, so when I can't remember now what the original question was, but
I don't know.
how do I get into all that?
I don't know, but that's really cool.
So then when I left the show, it was like, I have all these ideas I want to work on. I don't want to work for, I was still a bit in my ego then, right? I didn't want to work for everyone else's success. I wanted to create something and, have the show idea myself or the movie or whatever. So I'm like, I'm going to quit and develop one of these ideas in my head. And then simultaneously, right after I left, the same hypnotherapy school my sister went to, I'm just like browsing online one day and the next semester was starting the next week. And I'm like, oh, maybe I should study hypnotherapy. I'd done all that Joe Dispenza stuff the year before. He actually went to the school I went to. Cool. And so I was definitely like getting more into the power of the subconscious and the mind. And so I signed up. And when I first signed up, it was more just like, honestly, it was just so people would be like, stop asking me what I was doing after I quit my job. I always feel like I had to be doing something. So I'm like, okay, I'll go to school.
Yeah.
That's easy. I could say I'm going to school where I work on all my creative ideas.
Yeah.
Not realizing it at the time, but that was really the catapult for this spiritual journey, this awakening that I really went through.
I love it. You said before about like following your heart. I think there are a lot of people out there who have that calling. They feel the nudge, right? They sense there might be something more. Yeah. And they ignore it, and you talk about fear and shame and perfectionism kind of keeping people stuck and not actually taking that leading lady role, that leading role, being a supporting role is what you say. Wow. So how does that play in the fear, the shame, the perfectionism? And did you experience that? Is that maybe part of why you stayed? I don't know. Did you stay longer than you wanted to, or how did that affect you?
Yeah, I got like my 3-year itch and then they like switched my roles. So I kind of got, re-energized switching roles because I'm always someone who like always wants to try something new. Or sorry, it was 5-year itch and then they switched my role then. And then, because I was there 7 years, I forget. Yeah. I always get like a 5-year itch. Okay. And yes, and everyone, why would you leave? How could you leave? And so it was really hard.
That's hard. That's very hard.
Yeah, really hard. But then also once I left, that's when like even more fear and shame came through. And I didn't even realize it right away. I left in 2021, so it's been 5 years since I left the show. And there's a reason why even this book took me like, this long to be what it is, because I had to go on that inner journey. I had to go on a bit of like, a bit of the dark night of the soul, right? Where it's like, because also once I left, it's like this identity you were so tied to. Yes. That still, everyone meets me. I mean, listen, my book's called The Love Producer, and I'm grateful for that part of me. But like, everyone, that's what they want to talk to you about. That's what you're known for. And I'm grateful and I love it. But also like, what am I doing now? And for a long time, I wasn't really sure. And I was trying to figure it out. And I realized, down the line that my body went into total like fight, flight, freeze mode, because when you separate from your pack, that's your body going to survival mode. You've lost your sense of being, your sense of identity, your community. And I also like didn't really want to reach out to many people from the show because I felt like I kind of left impulsively too. I left like before we wrapped up the season. It was like twofold. My grandfather had passed away, so like, or he was about to pass away, and I just need to get out of there and try to say goodbye. And then I also got in like a fight with the lead I was producing, and which just left me like bawling on the golf course of Nemacolin Resort where we were filming, and just like, what am I doing here? Is this all worth it? I was even reflecting on God. Is there a God? I had really lost touch with that. I think also working in Hollywood, and there was a lot of like non-believers. I'd always been like spiritual, but I had lost touch with that really. So anyway.
Well, it sounds like you had an existential crisis. Would you call it that? Yeah.
Sure did. Yeah. Yeah. And so then, so then you leave it and it's like, what am I doing now? And when I was first like driven by ego, I started to develop a movie idea loosely based on the rumors that had come out about me. I like developed a rom-com where there's like a modern day Cinderella story of me and the Bachelor ending up together. And that, we pitched it to all the studios. It almost happened. And I was like, all right, I'm going to make a movie.
Yeah.
I'll show you guys.
Yeah.
And then when that hit a standstill, I was like, shoot, what do I do now? I'm like, I know there's a story in there, but simultaneously I was on this whole spiritual growth.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just kept getting downloads that I really had to share my truth and my story.
Yes.
Body chills as I'm saying
Yes.
it. But that's where the fear and shame really came in because, there's shame around what happened with me at the show that I get into in the book. There was fear sharing my truth and my voice because I've always kind of been the people pleaser, right? That's where, you just want to make everyone happy. You don't want to upset anyone. But I knew on a deeper level, especially for like where I was growing and what I wanted to, felt called to do in terms of like just helping women to tap into the real authentic love within, that I need to share my truth and share my story. And so it took so long because I really had to like go on that own journey of working through the shame and the fear and the subconscious blocks. And even the fact, like, I never considered myself a writer, just working through that. Right. Like,
Yeah. And I'm glad that you took that time to go on the journey, like so I also, I'm a writing coach and, some people think that they have a story and everybody has a story, but you have to have a certain amount of healing kind of or transformation behind you in order to tell that story in a really impactful way. So I'm glad that you took that time, that you listened. Again, I'm just so impressed when people actually, it's like lights and camera and exciting. So to like walk away from that, I'm sure there's a lot of fear. There's got to be a lot of that. And then like judgment or, from others, like you're saying, like people questioning, why would you do that? Same thing, like my parents, like when I left my job in Manhattan, why would you do that? And I think to a lot of people, it seems like that sure thing, that safe bet is security. But then there are just some people like yourself who you can't deny it. And if you deny it, it's going to come back, right? Like you could have stayed. You're young. You look very young to me. You could have stayed probably another, 5 years or whatever. And then maybe be like, okay, the clock really is ticking now, right? But like, you can't push that stuff down, right? I think when spirit wants you and spirit wants to awaken to use you for good, like you're doing, it's not going to just go away.
Yeah. And when you just said spirit, it's just like, I just got these full body, like, spirit talks to me. That's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's something like that I'm just like so grateful for. I could literally cry. Like when you really are able to connect with that like unconditional vessel of love, it just opens up so much. And it's so powerful. It's so powerful how much like spirit wants to help you. And so I never would have been able to write this book if I didn't have like something helping me.
Totally. You use the word downloads. You said you had those downloads. That's what happens. Like you just have this like moment. That's what happened for me. And it just opens and boom. And everything just, how was that writing experience for you? Did it just like flow very naturally and easily?
It was a journey. So I first started after the movie stopped, I started writing the fictional version and it was very, very hard. And because that's not what was supposed to be written.
Yeah.
And then eventually I just started writing my truth, and it was super therapeutic to do that.
Mhm.
And it came a lot easier. I mean, I still got in my own way. I was officially diagnosed with ADHD last year. I was like,
Mhm.
you realize how I left to like do my own thing, but I stayed a little bit in that supporting character role, right? All of a sudden,
Mhm.
when I had all this time available, and I say this to, I hope other women will learn from me, I'd hop on a call and play therapist to my friend and my sister and my mom and my dad. And all of a sudden, your days go by and you're like helping everyone else and not staying focused. So it took a while to finally be like, oh my God, what about me? You're doing the same thing you always do, which I'm grateful they all call me for advice and
Sure.
come to me for things. For a while, I was trying to be disciplined, wake up in the morning, do the writing, and I would torture myself. And then I realized I'm just like a naturally in flow person at night. That's always how I worked, even like when I was younger, right? The procrastinator me would wait until the night before and then be up all night.
Uh-huh.
So, like, most of my writing came late at night when the world was quiet. I think that's
Mhm.
also when I was probably able to get guidance from above to help me stay focused and
Mhm.
get into
Mhm.
more of a flow state. Yeah.
Yeah, at night something happens when that moon comes out. When we could see the moon, it's just like
It
I
sure
don't know.
does.
And early morning, right? Early morning too. I feel I don't know what time you wake up, but like the earlier I wake up, the more connected I feel. It is definitely a special time. So like what when you were making that like transition, what would you recommend to women specifically? And maybe in ones, I know you talk a lot about 30s because that's what age you were. But what about women in their 40s and their 50s that are like really entrenched? They've had like 20, 25-year careers and they just can't get rid of this little voice in the back of their mind saying, this isn't it. This isn't all there is. What are the steps women might go through, or maybe that you went through? Is it more of a leap of faith? And you just kind of do it? You just rip the Band-Aid off? Or is there like a process?
Mm. Um, First off, I say follow that inner voice, follow that inner voice and stay open and curious to where it guides you. Because it may not be exactly what you think. Stay open and curious to that. For me, yeah, I went on the inner journey. So I got various like coaches and intuitive guides and therapists, and I tried a bunch of modalities. Then I studied and got certified in a lot of these modalities. And so, that's actually like the work I do with women now is let's embody your leading lady energy. And with any leading lady, we had to look at your backstory first. And
Mm,
what is your backstory that you tell yourself? Like, let's look at it. And then what are like the false narratives that
mm.
you're telling yourself
Yep.
around love or around career or whatever? So much of it is probably formed in their childhood when the subconscious mind is a sponge, just taking in everything as fact and reality, whether it's your beliefs on money, on relationships, on career. You're looking at your parents or lack of parenting as those examples.
Yeah.
And then, the big impactful events in your life. So it's like, okay, so let's look at that backstory. And then what is the story you want to tell yourself going forward? What do you want to believe about career, about what you're doing, or money, or love? And so then through hypnotherapy and these different modalities, we're able to actually like do the work on a deeper level and on a somatic level, really tap into the body so that you could actually work through it and then rewrite that story going forward. So, I mean, yeah, hypnotherapy has probably been the biggest one for me. But I've dabbled in it all, and I think it's good to dabble in it all. I always say don't get too lost in like one thing or one belief or one like there's so much that you could gather from each of these different tools and modalities and even spiritual teachings, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about hypnotherapy? The one that I did, the rapid resolution, it's not like you're getting sleepy. Like it was like a deep, deep, deep meditation and then bilateral stimulation and humming and breathing and like the whole thing. It was just probably like a very deep, deep meditation. What is it
Yeah.
you do?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think people watch Hollywood movies and they think they get scared and turned off about what hypnotherapy is. And it's really getting your brain into a theta brainwave state, which is really, yeah, exactly a deep meditation. Most of the times I've been hypnotized, I've been fully aware, like I could hear, I'm aware. Sometimes I'm even like, I don't know if this is working, right?
Mm,
When I
yeah.
first used to start out, I'm like, nah, I don't know if this is working. And then after a few weeks, you're like, oh, things are shifting, right? Um, yeah, no, we're all hypnotizable. In fact, we're all in a hypnotic state every day, right? The 30 minutes before you go to bed, that 30 minutes when you wake up, your brain is naturally in that theta brainwave state. And what that means is that filter between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind is open. And when it's open, it's able to absorb everything it takes in as like truth and reality.
Mm-hmm.
And so the subconscious, they estimate, dictates about 88% of your day-to-day decision making in life, minimum. Really,
Wow.
some say up to 95.
Wow.
So on a conscious level, you could say, yes, I want a man who treats me well and chooses me and is a gentleman and all the things, right? But on a subconscious level, if like your first example of love was a guy who was toxic or cheated, right? On a subconscious level, it takes it in as like that's what you know as love. And so you end up attracting that in, not even realizing it. And so you repeat these patterns, right? And so what we're doing in hypnotherapy is just reprogramming it. So in that meditative state, it's really like a guided meditation
Right.
specifically for you. So we'll talk during the first half hour. It's like regular talk therapy. Okay, what is the presenting problem and what do you want to feel instead? What do you want to attract instead? And then getting them in that deep meditation and then just inserting exactly what they said they wanted. Or also doing maybe like inner journeys to like discover things too.
Mm-hmm.
That's a
Mm-hmm.
possibility as well. Yeah.
So what is to discover your own happy ever after? What is that? Have you found that, or what does that look like for you?
Yeah, well, to me, love is really a state of being. I'm currently single, right? So my own happily ever after was more about me discovering that love within. And I believe when you are able to unlock that love within, then you radiate from a place of love in all that you do. We're all energy, right? And so energetically, when you're radiating from a place of love, then what are you going to attract? Love, whether that's in the people that come into your life, whether it's romantic or not. Also just with your job. Love to me is that state of being. And when you embody that, you're able to attract it in all areas of your life.
I love that. I just
Yeah.
love that, like, celebrities and people in Hollywood and people like you are speaking like this, because you guys have a lot of influence over people, probably more than more than I do. Like, who am I? But like, you have this experience behind you, and I think people don't expect the realness all the time from Hollywood, really, essentially, right?
Yeah.
So I commend you so much for really stepping into that spiritual inner place, going through the dark night of the soul, allowing yourself to come out, just be like, this is what I'm supposed to do. I just love, love, love that you're following this. So for
Thanks.
women who are feeling that pressure, you used the word identity before. And I think that a lot of people who do talk themselves out of following that nudge, I think a lot of it has to do with that commitment to that identity and that fear of, who am I going to be if I don't, stay in this identity? My husband was a firefighter in New York City for a long time, and it was hard for him to retire, especially people, first responders in that helping profession. It's really hard because that's kind of who they become. They wear it as that's who they are. How did you move out of that identity into really finding your true self? I know you talked a little bit about it so far, but was there a moment and then like, what did you do after that?
It was really hard to resist going back. It was really hard to not be getting that paycheck still. For a while, I still dipped in and out of like shorter term production gigs. I was fortunate I was able to kind of like pick and choose just to get that paycheck. But there was a sense of trust and surrender that it was all going to be okay. I think like find the thing that is going to make you, that you need to do, or that's going to make you the most happy. Like for me, eventually all the different ideas came to like write this memoir. And I'm like, I just me to do it. And so I trusted that I was going to be protected, even like financially, like things. I mean, a consulting thing would come up just in time when I needed some
Yeah.
cash.
Yeah.
I learned the Price is Right and won money. You're not so cool. You never know where it's going to come from, but if you fully like surrender and trust you're going to be taken care of, you really are taken care of. I know it's hard. I know it's really hard. If you have a job that's like a regular 9 to 5, I would also say like start, just start doing your own reflecting during like the off hours. If you feel like you can't, be impulsive and quit your job like me, just like really take advantage of those hours when you're not working in the weekend and start getting creative and in touch with yourself and curious during that off time. If
Yeah. To really find what lights you up. Right.
Yeah.
And it might be that hard charging career. That might be what lights you up. Right. So this conversation isn't, we're not saying you have to leave your job. We're just saying if you do feel that calling or something, this is a way that you could maybe jump into it.
Yeah. And even doing, like we're both coaches and working with women, just taking some time for yourself to actually do some of that inner work. Cause
Yeah.
But yeah, the identity, my dad just was kind of forced to retire because of his own medical stuff going on. And like you're just saying it's hard because he was an oilman. He had an oil heating company, but he went and serviced people and it brought him so much joy to be such a giver and helper. He's going through an interesting time, but sometimes that's when the deepest work can be done too.
Yes. It comes for all of us, nobody without at least being offered an opportunity to look. Not everybody looks.
Yeah.
But I do believe that we all hit some kind of crossroads where we just know. Okay, so do you have first of all, is there anything else that you want to tell women that we haven't talked about? Is there any advice, suggestions, pearls of wisdom?
It's never too late to rewrite your story, and it all starts on going on that journey within. And when you do that, I think you're able to unlock that unconditional love. And when you open yourself up to that, then it's all going to fold into place.
It all just falls into place.
Yeah.
I totally
really believe that.
I second that, Julie.
Yeah. I will also say this, it's not easy, right? Like I could say like just vibrate from a place of love and like everything's great. It's not easy, but I think the first step is bringing conscious awareness to like what it is holding you back. Or even I remember doing an exercise in school where our teacher had us write down, what triggered us in one day or in that week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's the person that cut you off driving or spoke loudly, whatever. Write down those triggers and also pay attention to where you feel it in your body, right? And then like sit with it.
Mm-hmm.
Actually like sit with it and it's an interesting exercise and it could bring up a lot. I've learned.
Yeah, that ultimately sets you free. But like you're saying, it's not like we travel a journey and it's easy. It is hard. And then it doesn't just like get easy. I feel like the more awakened or aware we are, we can't just like shut it off. And things just keep revealing themselves to us. And we can't just look away.
Yeah, I went through some pretty big like friendship breakups last year during the year of the snake. I was really shedding. That was really, really hard. But I think as you start to elevate, like, you can't bring everyone along on the ride. They call them like energy vampires and people who can actually like suck your energy from you and drain you. And I've always been like a loyal friend to the end kind of girl. And I was like, oh, wait, I need to put firmer boundaries in place.
When I was in therapy I'm back in, but when I was in for like 5 years after my brother died, my therapist used the example of like a triangle. And like, this is like low functioning, mid functioning, high functioning. And the majority of people in society are here. And then you have the mid and then you have the high. And when a person kind of jumps from low to mid, the people in the low, she called them ankle grabbers. Yeah. They try to pull you back down into it with them. right? And it could be because you're a reflection of something that maybe they can sense deep down inside that they need to look at. And they have this dynamic with you that they don't want to change because it's working for them, right? And that's so hard. That's why we have to shed some people that aren't on this journey with us or supporting us through it. Ultimately, we have to watch out for ourselves and the world, right? Because I feel like a lot of the work that you're doing, the work that I'm doing, I think a lot of people are drawn to this kind of work. It's not just for us. It's raising that vibration that helps the world and the people and the planet and the birds and the bees and all the trees and all, all the things get healthier and better. And boy, do we need it right now. So
yeah, the people you surround yourself with, the environment you're in. I mean, I made the move. I knew I was over West Hollywood. The chaos of like the city was starting to get to me. I mean, I literally got robbed at gunpoint outside my apartment.
oh my
Like
gosh.
there were all these signs from the universe to get out of there.
Wow.
But like, again, this is like when I left my job, I'm like, I can't leave my rent control apartment, which I knew I could, but I was hearing that from other people, get separate from the other people. That was also how I finally got better and more in flow in my writing. I kept knowing, I'm like, I just need to be in nature. I just need to be in nature. I knew I had to be back in nature. And again, fear of like leaving my rent control apartment kept me like stuck there for a while. But when I finally I did most of my writing, I went up to the redwoods and did it. And now I live in Topanga and I'm like literally surrounded by trees, which I feel like give me so much energy.
I love it.
Yeah, but it's like the people, the environment, the food,
Everything. That's why it's called holistic. Body, mind, soul. It's everything.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome, Julie. All right. So why don't you let everybody know where they can find you, where they can buy your book. Again, it's called The Love Producer, My Unscripted Journey from a Reality TV Career to My Own Happily Ever After. Go get it. Comes out in July. Tell us where.
Yes, it comes out July 7th. I guess pre-orders are very important for new authors, so I'd appreciate if anyone's interested if they'd pre-order it. It's on all the different book websites or Amazon. My website has all my information and the services I offer for women. So check it out and send me a message if you're interested in learning more.
And it's just your name, right? JulieLaPlaca.com?
TheLoveProducer.com.
Oh, that's theloveproducer.com.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and I'll have all this information in the notes.
And then on social media, I'm Julie LaPlaca on Instagram. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, guys, go find Julie. Go get her book. This is really inspiring. It's really super cool when I see people break out of that mold, follow the inspiration, follow the inner fire, and then go out and help others. So kudos to you, Julie. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. It was great chatting with you.
Yes, you too. I'll talk to you soon.